Ladies and gentlemen, this is week 4. I'm your host, Scott Kinmartin, with me as always,
Greg Vollmer.
And this is the house that Ellen built. The Buffalo Bills go to Baltimore to face the Ravens. The Bills are 4-point favorites, which is rare in Baltimore.
It must be because we're so damn healthy.
Or Baltimore's defense has given up a heck of a lot more points and yards than the Bills.
Would you say there's some tail to the tape or tail to the statistics leading up to this matchup?
I would say, look, Lamar's going to run. Lamar's going to launch the ball. He's got 10 touchdowns. Allen's got 9, right? So he's not throwing as many yards. I know.
Favorites going at it.
I know. And I would say Allen's going to finish with at least 100 yards more and probably an extra touchdown, and we win by that. But they are 4-point favorites. You, at the beginning of the year, week 1, predicted
I
Ravens would take
predicted this
game.
to be our first loss of the year, and you would think going into it with all the whirlwind of injuries and uncertainty as we hold our breath for this very pivotal week 4 matchup.
Conference.
You would think that I would stay with that pick, but man, Scott was showing me some of the statistical breakdowns, and even though the season's young,
3 games,
seeing some of the discrepancies, just seeing the total yards allowed that the Bills have allowed so far to the Ravens, that's where I said I'm going to be a homer, and I'm switching to the Bills winning.
He switched minutes ago.
So
he originally predicted...
I predicted it was going to be a 27-21 win for the Ravens, and then we started looking at some of the stats between the two teams, and I had to change it. So I'm going to flip that around. I'm going to go 27-21 Bills.
Well, if anything, we've learned last week, stats don't mean ish. The Bills had 500 yards, and they lost, right?
Yeah, and so your prediction then for Sunday is going to be
24-20 Buffalo. Now, that would be the under because it's going to be 51.5. Now, obviously half points are nothing. It's not going to do anything. So that's roughly 28-24. It could be way above that. It could be a high-scoring, crazy game like a couple years ago when the Rams had that Monday night game, like 50-something to 50-something. But more than likely,
regardless
two defenses that aren't too bad. Obviously, the Bills are doing better pass defense.
Yeah, regardless if our predictions hold true or not, it's going to be a close game, and it's not going to be comfortable. We had those first 2 weeks where, for Bills fans, it was like you could kick back and relax in the fourth quarter, and not have a care in the world.
They didn't even play Allen in the fourth quarter.
We get hit with injuries. We all know what happened against the Dolphins. Stressful. Mm-hmm. I hate to say it, Bills Mafia, but I have a feeling it's going to be another one of those stressful Sundays where it's not going to... I hope I'm wrong, where we can be chilling in the fourth, but we're playing Lamar Jackson, who's going to have... They're going to put up some points. I think Allen's going to definitely put up some points against what you observe to be a very vulnerable secondary, and it shows with so far how many yards the Ravens have allowed. But
it could be skewed with the fourth quarter comeback for Miami, but we both lost to Miami. Yeah. The Ravens were beating them and lost. We were technically beating the Dolphins, and then we finally took our first quarter where we were trailing, and we couldn't come back from it.
Yeah, I think we win this one despite the injuries. I think we get healthy enough, and I think that it's going to be stressful, but we're going to get that win. And
so what's the score?
I said it. It was 27-21 Bills. I just flipped it.
Oh, you flipped it. Okay.
I just flipped
Kept
it.
the score, flipped the teams. Okay. Yeah. So there are currently more teams with a losing record than a winning record. 16-15, right? And the team that's proven mediocre so far has been the Colts. They're 1-1-1. 1 win, 1 loss, 1 tie.
Yeah.
And
they're rare. You don't even want to call that a triple crown. That's a triple downer.
I know.
But 1-1-1.
Nobody ever wants a tie. I think that rule needs to change. I understand safety, and you don't want to play a full like a fifth quarter, but there has to be some sort of tiebreaker from midfield. Who's got a better kicker? Everyone's drafting.
No rabid sports fan likes ties, unless I guess that's what the Major League Soccer's for. They apparently like ties, but we should change.
It's like hockey. You get an overtime loss, right?
And it's 3-on-3 for 5 minutes. It's awesome. Let them duke it out.
Oh, that would be funny to do a 7-on-7 for NFL.
Just anything but a tie. Ties suck.
Or they do a talent shootout like the Pro Bowl is going to be, where it's no longer a regular game. They turn it to flag football.
Yeah, just as long as it doesn't involve a coin flip, I'm okay.
You had to go there.
I had to.
All right, well, only 4 players outrushed Lamar Jackson last week. He had 107 yards, and those 4 running backs, not quarterbacks, were Khalil Herbert, who had to take over for Montgomery when he got hurt, Cordero Patterson,
Had himself a day. Jesus.
Nick Chubb, and Christian McCaffrey.
You know, that was Cordero Patterson's career record for highest
Yeah.
rushing yards in a
Yeah.
game.
Well, it's because he's been that slasher. He started out as a receiver. He was converted over kind of like a Ty Montgomery. And
Impressive.
yeah, and
It's impressive.
Jackson is betting on himself. He turned down that $250 million deal, and his value is only going up. And he's got to do something here.
Look.
These are the games that matter. He let that Miami game slip. Just like I'm saying, the Bills can't lose 2 in a row. Baltimore can't start 2-2. So, well, it's going to be tough.
Look, he's still betting on himself, and as we alluded to, you can't hate on anyone that bets on themselves. To have utmost confidence in yourself and your abilities, that's something that should be not frowned upon, but looked as something that's awesome.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the fact that he doesn't have an agent. His mom is his agent.
Something like that, yeah.
And so he's, and it doesn't change the fact that what happened to Herbert or what could happen to any quarterback on any given Sunday because of how brutal this game is. We saw what happened in Florida, and we saw how many people went down and how beat up our team is. It happens to every team in the league. It's like ebb and flow. But he needs to get a deal done at some point because he is. Even I hope he stays healthy. He's just playing with fire until he gets that ink dried on a contract.
Well, speaking of fire, I mean, Jackson's offense has Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman. They've got other guys, but really Duvernay.
Duvernay
doing well.
has kind of settled into a kind of a wide receiver 2-3 role on there, doing special teams, being a very talented kick returner, but also he's also shown that he can be dependable in some situations on offense as well.
And they are healthier than their running backs, especially are healthier than they were last year, and they're healthier than we are right now. So
I feel like we're kind of taking the Ravens' place last year as far as luck goes for health.
I know. Well, and it was their running back. So speaking of which, Lamar is leading their team in rushing. He's got 26 carries so far in 3 games. Allen's second as far as quarterbacks go with 19 carries. And he started out a lot of rushes in the first one. We're like, oh, too many hits. He had 10 or 11 hits. Then he had 1 rush for a first down second game. He was back to leading the team in rushing in the third game. Somewhere in the middle where you want to pressure Allen. If he can't go over the top, he can't dink and dunk. Let him run for first downs. I don't want him taking those big hits, and I think the Ravens are physical enough that they could pop him one, and I don't want that happening. So
it's interesting, isn't it interesting? Back during the playoff drought for the Bills, we relished those days where we had a 20 rush 115 yard game from our running back or a 15 rush 150 yard game, right? And that was awesome. And now we've got this. Now in this new age of NFL, we've got this elite passer with a rifle of an arm. But
he's also leading rushing.
And I feel like it's been proven at this point that, yes, even though we have the ultimate weapon in Allen, taking pressure off of him and setting up that play action pass and making every team every week respect the run game is important. And I feel like that's something, being nitpicky here because Dorsey's done a great job, but that is something Dorsey could consider as we move.
Yeah, he's utilized the running backs, 20 targets towards them out of the 62. So that's 1/3 of your offense.
Yeah, I guess he's used them in unorthodox ways. I guess just getting back to traditional, just set the run up. We already know what Allen can do.
I know.
But if we can try to just get defenses to bite more on that respect of the run game.
I want to see more of those gadget plays too. Like McKenzie around the end around. That was one play. And I want to see them do it again. Maybe they don't want to do it too many times because he's small and also predictable.
Yeah, and also try not to show your cards to
Yeah.
early in the season.
Exactly. It's only week 4 now. That was week 3. But when we did the comparisons and we showed the offense, I mean, it's going to be Diggs and Davis versus Andrews and Bateman, right? It's going to be the Ravens' top scoring offense versus the Bills. And so Ravens are number 1 in offense at 33 points a game, and Bills are number 3 at 30.3.
So not far off from each other.
No, not at all. And the Bills are number 2 in yards a game, 450 yards per game. And the Ravens are number 7 at 385. Look at the discrepancy there. So if we get let's say that extra 65 yards, that might be the difference in the game.
Bettors that are looking just on the offensive numbers so far through this young season, they're thinking maybe the over, huh?
Yeah, and like I said, the defenses are both going to have takeaways. The Ravens are leading the league with 6 interceptions. Bills are right behind them with 5, so
Neck and
11
neck there.
between the two teams. Yeah, it's going to be a battle. I mean, we both lost to Miami, like I said.
Both lost to Miami in just such different ways.
Oh, I know. Waddle and Hill got over the top from them in the
Killed
fourth
them.
quarter.
Tyreek Hill
Destroyed them.
killed the Ravens.
And even with our second and third string secondary,
we held them to 33 yards.
yeah. And Waddle over the top. He did have 102 yards, no touchdowns on only 4 receptions,
yes,
which means he was covered a lot.
Are we pissed as Bills fans that we lost the Dolphins? Yes, but my God, can we hold our heads up high, though, and so should the team with how things went? The Ravens were embarrassed in that fourth quarter at home. They completely unraveled. So we both lost the Dolphins in as many weeks.
Yeah.
In a span of 2 weeks, and just in completely different ways.
Yeah, but another thing that we share in common, other than our opponent we lost to, we are both in the wild card right now. I mean, as it stands, after only 3 weeks, we are in the 7th spot. Ravens are in the 6th spot. One of us has to lose or tie.
We'll get a much clearer picture, and I feel like it's going to mean a lot more in say 3 or 4 more weeks about that kind of line that gets cut off for the playoffs. But yes, in a young
as
season,
it stands, we're in the wild card, but it's literally the last spot. And if we win, we move up. If we lose, then we may move out. Depends on how the other chips fall. That leaves us with injuries have been brutal, as we talked about with the Dolphins game. Update, Benford's fractured his hand. He's out for a couple weeks, right? Kumero's going to be out. He's week to week. Poyer, Phillips, and Oliver are probably day to day. Kind of, we'll see where it goes.
McDermott said they're progressing, but he's so ominous with anything injury related. So I guess that's kind of just the way coaches do in the NFL now. You know, keep it close to the chest, but who knows? But according to McDermott, they are progressing. Let's hope that means they're back because we need them.
For sure. And, I mean, Ryan Bates went out with a concussion, so hopefully, based on the protocol, he's able to progress through the week and make it. We'll see where he goes from there. Unfortunately, Tommy Doyle, big guy, 6'8", lineman who is, depth, but he's out for the season. I think he tore his ACL.
Yes.
Now, Allen did actually hurt his, I want to say, throwing hand on a helmet. It was more sore than anything. It's not like he has, any broken fingers or weren't any x-rays or anything done like that. He's got to be super exhausted and sore. It's going to take probably this entire week to really rehab and get back to hopefully 100%.
Yeah.
But if
he gets added to the legitimate injury list, then yes, it's...
Then our season will depend on Case Keenum.
Set the alarm if that happens.
Yeah.
Go just to revert real quick back to one more stat on that this Ravens-Bills game. The stat that we were looking at that made me flip to where I was going to try to hold true to my prediction before the season started for the Ravens winning this game. The stat that made me switch and be a homer and pick the Bills was that yards against. The Bills allowing 214 yards on average so far to the Ravens almost 460.
I mean, think about that. That's more than double that they've allowed. Now, I know the Miami game kind of throws off the let's take out that Miami game. They're still going to average over 350 a game, and you're talking the Bills being a stingy defense against the pass with those young guys even.
Yeah, and for a guy like Allen who's not afraid to put up big yardage numbers in the passing game, on paper that looks well. We all know that sometimes that doesn't mean anything come actual playing, but you like to see those stats right now.
Well, the Bills' passing defense is number 1 in the league. Ravens are dead last. So you've got the Bills' passing defense is number 1. Again, this accounts for all 3 games. And last game, they actually did really well still because Tua had 186 yards on 18 attempts, 13 completions.
Is he going to Hall of Fame?
Who?
Tua? Should we have a conversation about this, South Florida? Is Tua going to be?
Hold your horses. Look, you won that game. We'll see you in December.
Get the face mold ready.
The bust.
Get the bust ready.
Maybe he'll be a bust still. I mean, really, other than one quarter against the Ravens,
he is a good quarterback.
Yeah, he'll be serviceable.
Allen, Mahomes, Brady,
Herbert,
Rodgers.
Maybe even
The
Jalen Hurts
Rams,
now.
the Rams, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Hurts.
Stafford's
Stafford.
he's top
I
10.
consider them great quarterbacks. You can call me a homer saying Allen's a great quarterback. I think Allen's a great quarterback.
There's no doubt anymore.
Tua's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
If he would have embarrassed the Bills and a depleted defense, I would maybe even consider him putting him in that top 10 conversation right now. He's not yet. He's not. I'm sorry, Dolphins fans. He's not.
So the Bills' passing
see in
defense is
December.
better, right? And the Bills' rush defense is number 2. Ravens are 13. So the Bills' rushing defense has allowed 58 yards per game, just under that. And the Ravens have allowed 105. So, I mean, that's a pretty big discrepancy there. But when I showed you those numbers, that's when you're like,
Yeah.
keep in mind the X factor. Just like in Madden, Lamar can be this shifty guy that does a lot of things, but we can also cause him to fumble. We need those turnovers. It's going to be crucial this game. Rather than coughing the ball up, we need to get the ball back.
If we can come up with a game plan like Frazier and McDermott dialed up in that divisional round against the Ravens when we hosted them in the playoffs, my God, that was an interesting game. And I know Lamar got hurt, so he didn't play, at the end there. But the way we contained him and flustered him in that game, man, I know it's a new season, new teams. If we can come up with a way to make him uncomfortable, because yes, if we let him loose in the open space, we know how dangerous he is. He can make you pay like that.
He's very shifty. He's like Tyreek Hill in a quarterback body, and he can be that game changer.
He is. He's got those fast twitch muscles. He's a freak, man.
And I love Rashad Bateman. I know Mark Andrews is a top 3, top 5 tight end. We contain them. We have strong linebackers. If they shadow Andrews, and then we can contain Bateman on the outside.
And our defense does tend to struggle against elite tight ends. I mean, just
it has, yes. But we've had these linebackers together for 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And this is our 5th year together.
Edmonds and Milano, they hopefully can keep that middle of the field on lock.
Yeah. That is our Bills preview for the Ravens game.
And
you reverse course.
I did reverse course. Just real quick, Bills Mafia that are traveling to Baltimore, travel safe, break some tables responsibly, pound some Labats, and take a couple hydration breaks. Bring the noise, and hope you all have a fun time there. Should be a hell of a game.
All right, so we covered the Bills. Now we're going to talk about the other games this week and the matchups that we think are pretty and the matchups that we think are ugly. And we'll start with Jacksonville against Philly. That should be a game to watch.
It's a tasty matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts, young quarterback doing big things.
If it was
Trevor
a sandwich,
Lawrence,
I'd say this matchup was a tasty Reuben.
or a Philly cheesesteak.
Or a Philly cheesesteak. Oh, that was a good one.
Oh, man.
That was a good one. All right. So is Trevor Lawrence a real deal?
I think it shows that he has talent. We knew that from Clemson. But with Doug Peterson, he's already got 2 wins in 3 games, which is more than Urban Meyer had in 13 games.
Who's Urban Meyer? Who's that? That's what Jacksonville fans are saying right now.
Seriously,
Who's that guy?
Seriously. So looking at the stats under Urban, or even just last year in general, he had 12. Trevor Lawrence had 12 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. This year he's starting out 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. Now, they blew the doors off the Chargers last week. I know Herbert wasn't 100%, but I feel like, they're doing good things. And,
Still a statement win.
And Lawrence he's proving that he just may be that generational talent and top 10 quarterback. Some of the things that I thought we should look for are the Packers versus the Patriots. I think the Patriots are obviously very low right now. They're going to be starting Brian Hoyer against Rodgers. Yeah, the Patriots aren't winning this game.
Let's go, Cheeseheads. Come on, baby. Beat the crap out of those Patriots. Let's go. Give them losses.
If they wanted to go outside of Hoyer, they've got Bailey Zappi, who's a rookie. And then, I looked at free agent quarterbacks, and Josh Rosen is available. Nathan Peterman's available, and A.J. McCarron's available.
Well, Belichick's a genius, and he can win no matter what. So, whatever happens, he'll come out with a win. He's got, he could call Brady. Too soon?
Too soon.
My therapist that I've been seeing, she says that while my relationship with the Patriots and the hatred is unhealthy, I've been doing some meditation exercises, and she says I'm coming along and improving.
Part of this.
So, thanks. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Trying not to get into fights. Trying to be a responsible
That's
adult.
good.
Gotta, being a fanatic is awesome. You gotta be a responsible fanatic.
Well, Speaking of somebody who's responsible for taking 11 days off in the preseason to go on vacation, and is now in hot water with his wife because his kids were at the game last week,
Oh
but
yeah.
Giselle wasn't.
Oh boy.
The Bucks are hosting the Chiefs, but there is a Category 3 hurricane coming through, which may be up to a Category 5 by the time it hits land. I lived in Florida for 9 years. I know they can dissipate or increase like crazy and just total devastation. Rather than coming down the Atlantic, it's actually coming up the Gulf of Mexico. So those are pretty dangerous.
Everyone in the areas, be safe.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and the game may still be in Florida, but it might have to shift on to somewhere where it's nicer. It may get delayed altogether. Who knows? But that's a matchup I would love to see. It's supposed to be Sunday Night Football, so it may get shifted to Monday. Who knows what happens?
Yeah.
But good move for you, the Dolphins, to offer that stadium.
Yeah.
And-
Take shelter, be safe, make good decisions there.
So we talked about Sunday Night Football. The Monday night game it's the Rams and 49ers. So that should be
Stafford versus Garoppolo,
yeah.
divisional matchup.
Should be a good game. But honestly, for the rest of these games, we're talking Cleveland and Atlanta. We're talking Seattle and Detroit, Chicago and New York, Giants, Arizona, Carolina, Jets, Steelers, Titans, Colts, Chargers, Texans, Raiders in Denver. Could the Raiders start 0-4?
Are you telling me that this is not a good week to try to rebound on my 0-3 parlays?
Do not do a parlay. But, you
No,
know, I would love
I
to see
love-
the Raiders make a comeback.
I think I'm going to do an 8-game parlay.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And you know what? You should bet on Flacco. I think they're going to beat the Steelers.
So you asked me, are the Raiders going to start 0-4? Going to go out on a limb on this one, even though don't ask me for betting advice because I haven't been doing shit so far. I'm going to say the Raiders don't go 0-4. They pull an upset against the Broncos.
All right. Well, maybe Adams will finally have that connection with Carr that he hasn't really had so far.
I don't know. I haven't. The Broncos haven't passed my eye test yet. My God, they've won some ugly games. They've looked lost. Wilson still doesn't
not
seem
look
to
the
look
same.
comfortable.
No.
Nathaniel Hackett still just seems to be getting his bearings
His
straight as a
decision
coach.
making and stuff,
I
yeah.
say it's going to be a tight one. It always seems like it is in that division, and those games are always tough. In that AFC West, I'm going to say though that the Raiders avoid that 0-4 catastrophe and they pull the upset off. They get it's going to be a nail biter. They get it done against Denver.
Well, I know someone by the name of Brody who would love to see his Raiders win because he's been telling me that they're still going to win the AFC.
Brody, you're going to have a victory Sunday this week. Enjoy it. I'm calling it.
All right.
For legal purposes, I should say don't take that to the bank. But
We talk before we get into your fantasy, not your fantasy world.
yeah, you don't want to get
Josh
you
Allen
don't
would
have
be in
enough
that.
time
Have you
for
seen
that.
him in shorts?
I've seen him in shorts. I love you, Josh Allen.
A couple things that are kind of weird but have to do with the NFL. Taylor Swift out. There was rumors that she was going to lead the Super Bowl headline at
Is she getting picked up for a practice squad now, or what?
She's on injured reserve for the year. But Rihanna is now signing a contract for that
All
Super
right.
Bowl halftime
I
show.
like me some Rihanna. I'm not disappointed.
She's been like not doing much for the last 4 years or
Well,
so.
she had a child. She's a new mother.
Well, we will see what she's doing. We'll see what kind of music.
She's
maybe
got a good
new
voice and she looks good. She'll put on a good show.
I hope so. I think so too. And Pro Bowl, there are big changes to that. They announced with a lot of displeasure from the Bills. The Bills fans did not like this, but I actually like it. I've been talking for years about how the skills contest was fun. And the game itself became a two-hand touch thing. So they're turning it into a flag football game.
Yeah.
And they're going to do a week of skills games, which if these are truly the best of the best for Pro Bowl and not just, oh, yeah, we're going to put him in there. Mac Jones making the Pro Bowl. He's not bad.
How did Allen not make the Pro Bowl last year? Riddle me that.
I have no idea.
It's a joke. That's why.
Because he didn't live up to the same numbers as 2020? I mean, they were
Look
very
at his
good.
numbers compared to other Pro Bowlers.
Keep in mind,
ridiculous.
his hot
he
streak-
did have 15 interceptions.
His hot streak was in the playoffs, and that was after voting is over.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that maybe kept him out was the 15 picks, but still ridiculous. And the flag football idea, I love it. Because you're right, it has already turned into a soft two-hand touch type of a game where players just quit.
I know.
Why not watch the best football players in the world play flag football?
Yeah.
Flag football is fun to watch regardless. Now we're watching the best of the best play flag football. I think it's genius.
I was in Honolulu a couple of years ago when they were there, and I I couldn't go to the stadium at the time. I mean, we had other plans like a luau or something. So I would love to do a Pro Bowl game.
A waka laka tiki, or do you want to lay me? All right.
Oh man. Well, so the Pro Bowl has changed. The halftime show apparently is now Rihanna. And let's get into fantasy talk. What a transition. Craig.
All right. A little fantasy corner once again by yours truly. All right. I'm going to start off with where I was right and where I was wrong.
Okay.
All right. Where I was right, I had a good feeling about the Eagles' defense. I'm holding on to them in one of my 12-man leagues. I don't have enough room right now in my strategy to keep a second defense, so they're going to be my ride or die for this next month.
Okay.
Even despite going up against the Jaguars team this week.
I know your strategy this year hasn't been the draft, but to kind of pick a streamer for maybe each month.
Yeah, and so I did say that the Eagles would be a great pickup, and I believe they look like the real deal so far. Where I was wrong, yeah, this is kind of I just had to do it for the sake of the segment. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm wrong on it yet, but I did talk about Tyler Algier.
You dropped him. You picked him up and you dropped him.
Yeah, I dropped him in one of my leagues. I'm holding on to him in another one of my 12-man. Look, Cordero, God, I always mess up his name.
I know.
Cordero Patterson is a problem, and damn, like anyone that has him that doesn't have Tyler, they're just like, whatever. Anyone that has Tyler and doesn't have Patterson, they're just like, this guy.
I know.
He went off again, and he continues. He never ceases to amaze me.
He had a couple years of.
I don't know. It's like he's not a traditional running back being converted from wide receiver, and he runs unconventional. But is he effective or what?
Yeah, for real.
Look, if they continue to use him like they use him, I don't know how long he'll keep up health wise. We'll see. So that's where I was wrong. If you're desperate, Tyler Algier is a stash, but man, for the Cordero Patterson owners, good on you because he is putting up points. Real quick, some defensive streamers that I think are worth taking a chance on if you are streaming. I'm considering streaming the Lions. They're hosting the Seahawks. I don't have. Look, from a week-to-week basis, I don't know what you're going to get from the Seahawks. Well, could Metcalf go off? Yes. Could he not? Yes. Is their run game going to get stopped because of a pretty lackluster offensive line? It could. I believe in the Lions still. I think they got a solid team, and they're very well coached.
You got sucked into the Hard Knocks series. They're a likable team, and Dan Campbell's a good coach.
Yeah, I think if you're streaming and you're just looking for a dart throw this week of who could get you some decent points to get you that win, I'm considering the Lions.
Make sure Swift is healthy though, because he's banged up.
Yeah, I mean that'll affect the defense to a certain extent. But.
St. Brown's going to be the one that could make the difference in the game.
Yeah, I'm just talking about defense though.
Okay.
And then another streaming option, you might think it's crazy, but I say stream the Chiefs at Tampa Bay. I know that
Tampa's kind of sucked. Their offense is not very good.
They're injured. They're injured. I think the Chiefs are going to be once again pissed, wanting to come back after getting upset to the Colts. So that's just a sneaky little streamer. Let's hope it doesn't end up in my I was wrong segment next week. But all right, and then some sleepers / some waiver wire additions. If you're looking into the wee hours of the morning before that waiver wire hits, and you're wanting to make a proposal. I don't know how some leagues they have budgets that you can spend. Other leagues, there's no budget. But either way, if you're looking for some additions to help bolster your depth, Mac Hollins, wide receiver for the Raiders.
I saw you grabbed him. I thought about it, but I'm like, this might be a hot streak.
It could be. He could be.
He's been in the league for
flash in the pan.
He's been in the league for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got 8.5 points and 25 points respectively over the last 2 weeks in half-point PPR. That relationship between Devontae Adams and Carr hasn't quite lived up to the expectation.
They were college teammates. It was supposed to be instant chemistry.
So I guess you could say the beneficiary for fantasy purposes over the last 2 weeks has been Mac Hollins.
I was confusing him with Noah Brown, who would be somebody I would suggest to pick up if he somehow is still on waivers for the Cowboys.
Yes. He had a great
He's been
game.
around since 2017, and he's worked his way up from the practice squad, special teams only, to having a
really
role
cool
in this
story.
offense.
Yeah, he did. He had a great game under the lights against the Giants.
Yeah, but Hollins, I think, is a rookie, or at least very young.
Yeah, I would have to check on that. But yeah, so Mac Hollins for the Raiders, sneaky little pickup there if you're needing some wide receiver depth. And then if you're needing some wide receiver depth, Zay Jones For the Jaguars,
Former Bill.
he's kind of been this journeyman who's trying to kind of find his way back as a solid contributor. He's averaged 10.5 points through the first 3 weeks of the season. So if you're looking for a dart throw too, and you're just like, man, I need someone, and got some injuries, Zay Jones might be a little sneaky pickup, because for the Jaguars, you've got Christian Kirk kind of taking a lot of that attention. And so, Zay Jones has kind of been that beneficiary, kind of wide receiver 2 in the slot, or wide receiver 3. So.
Yeah. I mean, I know his numbers have been pretty good because you picked him up, and you've been checking it. And I saw Zay
Just
Jones.
because I pick him up don't mean shit.
No, but I saw him on free agency, and I'm like, his numbers aren't bad. And I've followed that, but I haven't been watching him in the games itself. I've heard his name called.
Yeah.
But it's been hard because you watch Red Zone when you can, and then you've got your own games to watch. And I've got a kid and family. It is a lot, but
that's my fantasy corner. Like I said, I'm not getting paid by ESPN like some of these big wigs to talk about fantasy, unfortunately. So look, take all my advice with a grain of salt. I do, both of us have played for a long time, and
22 years for me.
For me, 12 years now, and so I don't know everything, but I always, for those that are new to it, especially if you're just looking for some extra advice and you're in a pinch, I clearly, I'm wrong sometimes, but I'm right sometimes.
It happens. That's the whole idea with fantasy. You could think your lineup's perfect. I started 2-0. I was dominating the league. I benched Herbert thinking he was hurt, and I had to start Fields because he's my only other quarterback.
Yeah.
He basically 6 points versus Herbert, who's even hurt, would have gotten me 20. And I benched McLaurin for James Conner. Now, how do I have that depth in a 12-team league? We had a rookie drop him for Dontrell Hilliard.
Nicole about that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play him, thinking, yeah, I know he was banged up, but yeah, that didn't work out either.
You had one of those off weeks. You're still one of the best teams in the league.
Same with you. You're right there.
I'm first in the league in scoring right now in your league, but record-wise, I'm not. But look, just like last year, I got cocky in your league, and I thought I was destined for a championship, and then my ass got humbled in the semifinals.
It's happened to me many times.
I did for the first time this year. I'm in 3 leagues for the first time ever. Usually, I'm just in 2. Was in 1, then I was in 2 last year. Now I'm in 3 this year. I won all 3 of my leagues this week, so I was happy about
3-0 for the week.
Yeah.
If I'm just looking at these games that I said were boring, Cleveland at Atlanta, I mean, you got to go with Myles Garrett being hurt with that one car accident that he rolled. He's almost certainly not playing.
He is okay though.
Yes.
Yeah, him and the passenger he was with are okay. No critical injury.
My guess is he was likely speeding severely, because you don't roll your car and keep rolling and rolling. If you looked at the car, he was mutilated. But that has nothing to do with football. I just hope he's okay. Atlanta, Drake London will probably eat. Pitts hopefully will eat.
Drake London's been doing great.
Yeah, and then the Chicago Giants game, I'd stay away from everybody except for Saquon Barkley, really. Maybe Metcalf, but really, that's going to be a boring game. Most of these games are boring. Most of these games suck.
Man, I was giving you some flack for the trade of trading Bateman to get Pitts as part of that package. Now, looking at your roster overall, I see why you did it.
I had a lot of wide receivers.
And I knew you had gotten him, so I was paying attention to the red zone after the Bills game on Sunday. And man,
he looks good.
Mariota was looking at him a lot.
He needs to.
He does. He's so freaking talented.
He needs to. They don't have Julio Jones anymore. Drake London's supposed to step right in, and really, Pitts he's a top 5 talent.
He is, and he had a slow start to the season. He put up 8. He put up 8 in standard this week or something like that.
Yeah, I think he had 87.
You add in a touchdown there, and you're gravy in a week. So
that would have helped me.
I mean, that's what you want, right? For tight ends, it's so up and down. You just want some consistency.
Yeah.
If you can get 8 to 15 points every week or every other week, it's a win. It's so hard to maintain that position.
Arizona, Carolina, obviously nobody should have Baker Mayfield out there. Murray, you can start him, but Carolina's defense is actually pretty good.
Yeah, on paper, a lot of these matchups look like they're
so bad. I mean, Tennessee versus the Colts, right? Colts defense is pretty good too. So, obviously, you got Derrick Henry, start him. You got Pittman, I guess play him.
Yeah, as they say about
Jonathan
fantasy,
Taylor?
man, if you drafted them in the first 3 rounds or 4 rounds,
you got to start them.
You got to start your
when they're not on their bye,
but
you start them. Sorry.
Yeah. With that said, though,
that's
when it
pretty
comes
much
to
it.
flexes, that's where my philosophy is kind of that flex position at times. That's where you can get creative. You know,
Don't go off of projections all the time.
Yeah, sometimes that's where you got to use your instincts or whatever. You,
Yeah.
you know, like if it's close between two people, that's where you can win or lose a week. You make the right decision or the wrong decision. Just that one player in the flex could be the difference, or that defense that you decided to stream could be the difference, where they end up putting 17 and your opponent's defense puts up 8. That's the
Or you
craziness
could be
about
like
fantasy.
my brother Kyle drafted Justin Tucker and named his team something Mother Tucker.
Oh yeah, Tough Mother Trucker.
Yeah, Tough Mother, something like that.
Bad
and
Mother
then he
Trucker?
goes,
Yeah,
dude, I
Mother
didn't know
Tucker.
I didn't know your kicker stats. So a kicker in our league that I changed as a commissioner a couple years ago, it was voted on, was yardage, just like a wide receiver, just like a running back. For every 10 yards, you get 1 point, and it's fractional. So you kick a 35-yard field goal, it's not 3 points, it's 3.5 points. You kick a 60-yard field goal, it's not 3 points, it's 6 points. So it's yardage. So Tucker should help them there. But if they're not kicking a lot of field goals and they're getting a lot of touchdowns, you're getting a lot of extra points only. So
Kind
you're
of the
chipping away
problem
one
you've
run.
run in with having Bass over the last couple of years with the
Oh,
Bills. At
yeah,
times,
and he missed a
it's
chip
not-
in, but
he
those
did.
are all short.
At times, the Bills' offense is so efficient that you're only getting extra points.
Yeah, and good thing we don't use punters in special in fantasy, because Sam Martin had 1 punt. Now we had a turnover. We had all those miscues, but
yeah.
hopefully Sam Martin over or under 2 punts.
Over.
Well, it's going to be a heck of a game. You predicted the
20,
Ravens would win
27-21
first. Bills. This has been
What a
week 4
shocker.
preview. I'm Scott Kinmartin.
I'm Greg Vollmer.
You're watching the house that Ellen.
And if y'all are still paying attention at home, every week we put 2 new Allen cards up on our beautiful
That's right.
display here in the studio. This week, on my side, we've got a beautiful Panini Josh Allen numbered 9/99. It's the National. It's it's got the red on top and the blue on the bottom. Super cool card.
Ooh, look at that.
Look at that. And the fact that it's numbered, it's a short print, which
Flip
is
it over.
cool.
Show the number. Look at that sucker.
Boom.
All right, and on my side,
Beautiful.
we have a Panini Prestige Football Heroes.
Josh
Now,
Allen
if you look
Heroes.
at it, look at that shiny sucker right there. This is number 50 of 299. Love the blue color, blue hollow. And on
And that's
the back,
the second
it's just-
Hero series, right? So the prior year they
Yeah,
had Heroes.
they had a similar one in 2020 that was silver hollow.
Not as
This is
cool. This one I
blue.
feel is even cooler.
I feel like this is an upgrade, and I liked last year's. But now that they have numbered ones and variants like this, love it.
I pulled a base Josh Allen Heroes out of a blaster the other day, a $25
You
blaster.
called it
from
ahead of
Target.
time.
I called it. So we got 2 boxes each. We opened one together, and then the other we took home because it was getting late. And as I walked into my apartment, I'm just gonna will this into existence because I really wanted a Josh Allen Heroes card, but I didn't just want to pay for it. I wanted to just pull it. I'm like, it's gonna be in here. And sure enough, I pull a base Josh Allen Heroes card. It wasn't numbered. It wasn't a variant, which would have been awesome. But nonetheless, still cool to pull one of your favorite players. So
Yeah, so
keeping the hobby alive.
we love sports cards. We love Josh Allen's cards. We love Josh Allen in shorts.
We
yeah.
love the
So
Bills.
if you have questions for us, please let us know. The best question that we feature in next week's episode will get a free Josh Allen card. You just have to send me an address, P.O. Box, whatever you want.
Could be a
And,
base card. Could be one of those number cards like that one.
Oh, and this is Fireball in honor of Josh Allen's hometown of Fireball. And that does it for Week 4 preview. Bills versus the Baltimore Ravens. This is the house that Allen built. You have fun?
Yes, indeed.
All
Let's
right.
get a W, Bills Mafia. Let's go Buffalo.
Woo!
All right.
Josh Allen. See, now we're matching colors.
Oh, yeah. It's matching. So cute.
I have no room for my nuts.
Jeez. It's never been a problem for me. I'm all butts. I'm more big butt, no nuts kind of a guy. My nuts are small.
Well,
They're like, like little almonds
yes.
that like the salted ones that you can buy in little bags at the convenience store? That's kind of the size of my little giblets, just little.
Greg's gonads.
And then the little smokies, my wiener.
Little smoky. Oh, jeez. Okay.
That's good Dr. Pepper. The thing that makes it taste even better is Bud Light Buffalo Bills koozie.
Nah. DP. I love Dr. Pepper. Not double penetration.
Deep penetration?
Deep penetration.
Deep penetration.
Are you ready to do this?
When she says just a couple more inches and you're like, okay, baby, I'll give it a couple more. Oh! Oh! Tua! If you make her scream Tua, you know you're doing a good job. Tua!
Let's go for round 2!
Tua! Neighbors.
My mama called me chubby.
Your neighbors are just like, what the f***?
Got my own chubby dog. Look at you flexing over here.
Man, this 4K makes my muscles look good. Jesus, look at that. You don't even lift, and you are a blessed.
You don't even lift, bro.
You're a blessed individual.
I know. My wife is hot.
You're genetically blessed, I think.
Thanks, cutie. I love your facial hair. And your flavor saver there. Hold on, you have an ear hair.
Ow! God damn, man.
Dude,
Fuck.
holy
Personal space, bro. Damn.
All right. Personal space. Ready to go?
Okay.
We're going to do this in 3.
My mustache is just
2.
a little unruly.
1. Oh, my God.
Okay, all right.
Let's just do it live.
Fuck it, we're doing it live. Fuck it. Let's do it live.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Cheers to week 4.
Are we doing... so is this going to be a welcome back to the house that Alan built? Or
Yeah.
We shouldn't cheers because it wasn't victory.
Cheers to a new week.
Yeah, let's cheers to a new week.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
All right. All right. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. I think we can. Welcome back to the house that Alan built. This is week 4 preview of the Buffalo Bills at the Baltimore Ravens. I'm Scott Kinmartin. With me, as always,
Greg Vollmer.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Jesus. All right, one more. All right, here we go.
All right.
You're not selling the microwave, for Christ's sake.
Sunday!
Sunday.
Shh. Okay, ready?